Hello guys, in this video I'm gonna give you some tips on how to outsmart and outplay your opponent. Nowadays there are a lot of 14-year-olds who are absolutely insane with game mechanics such as building and aiming, so it will take a lot more now to beat your opponents. So in this video I'll be giving you simple small tricks to outsmart your opponent and some ideas on how you can outsmart players yourself in your own unique ways. But in another video I'll be covering on how to control a fight as well as outsmarting your opponent to have a higher success rate of winning. The first tip is something I learned from Cypher PK. It's relatively simple, and while many people know about this trick, it's still really effective and can be made to use in various ways. While there's many ways to do this, I'm going to show you a few. So many of you know this one already, but I got this idea from Cypher PK, and here are the two ways I use this trick. The first way I use it is I edit one of my walls and place a ramp in front of me and above to make the other player think I'm ramping up. But instead I either edit the top or the other side of the wall and take a shot at the player. I prefer to edit through the wall instead of the top to take a shot because sometimes the enemy gets stuck on the other side of the edited cone. Now let's say you're going up against a good player. They're usually gonna put cones or floor you off, right? So before you begin any of this, make sure to cone and floor around your box so you could do this more effectively. Now the second way I use this is, instead of going for a shot, I'm gonna go for high ground. I do the same thing as last time, just pretend I'm ramping up, but then I turn around, build a ramp on me, and I edit through my floor and cone. I also put a wall just in case, also it looks cool. Also, before you do this, make sure the walls above you are yours. Now guys, remember, these are basic simple tricks to outsmart your opponent, and many of you may know these already. But this is just the first video of many to come of me giving out tips, so the second and third and so on of this video or series, let's say, will be more advanced tricks. Please, I can already see many of you in the comments saying, I'm a bot, and these are simple things, but like I said, some people may not know it, and I'm just trying to help them out. Tip number 2 is phasing and shooting through ramps and cones. While this trick is kind of old, I still think it's a very useful technique to use. Let's start out with phasing through your ramp. Turn around and place the ramp over you. Now turn back and edit the ramp forward. While doing this, make sure your character is all the way back touching the wall, or else you won't phase through it. Once you're phasing through your ramp, you can edit your wall and take a shot at the enemy. If you're very low on health, I suggest taking a shot and jumping so you're not phasing through the ramp anymore and you won't be able to get hit. Now to phase through your cone, I suggest not to use this while fighting an opponent, but more like a cheeky shot to get off on someone while they are close by. Here's an example but with the ramp. Say you're just walking by and see no one in the box, and then the wall gets edited and you die. This is how the cone trick should be used. Now the only flaw to using this trick with a cone is, regardless if you are phasing through it or behind it, the enemy will most likely think you're hiding behind it and taking a peek shot, so almost always the enemy will shoot back and hit you 90% of the time, since you're actually phasing through it and basically exposed. The way I would recommend using this is to be positioned perfectly under the cone where your enemy can't see you, and then edit and take the shot. Now the one flaw I talked about with this trick can be avoided, but you have to position yourself well in order to execute it. When you're going to phase through your cone, make sure you're perfectly in the middle of it where your head is just barely exposed. Then edit and take a quick shot, and then crouch down to be placed inside your cone and avoid being hit. Another neat trick you can do with the cone is, say you have someone one shot but the man just keeps on building and 90ing up. What you can do is replace his walls really quick below his 1x1, and before you edit your walls, knock them down, place a trap underneath you on the floor. And like how I taught you earlier in the video, place a cone and phase through it. I suggest editing out 3 walls first and then placing your trap and cone, because the enemy will hear the trap being placed and know something is up. Before giving them time to think, edit out the last wall to break down the build and watch them fall into your trap. There is no way for them to avoid this because they can't build a floor on top since the walls are edited, and they can't place a ramp over you since technically there is a cone there, but since you're facing through it, the trap will still go off. Now going on to the third tip, we'll be talking about traps. Most of what I'm going to show you I learned from the trap master Cypher PK. Season by season, traps have started to become more useful and essential when going up against other players. I'm going to be showing you the most effective ways to use them. Probably one of the most important tricks is placing your trap on the roof instead of the sides or on the floor, depending on the situation. It may sound simple, but trust me, your first instincts are probably just spamming traps to your sides, but the opponent can simply just walk to the other side and avoid getting hit, and your plan to trap kill them will be at risk. When you have the other player trapped inside your box and under your ramp, place the trap on the roof and edit your ramp back to activate the trap, and keep the player on the other side of the ramp to avoid getting shot yourself. No matter where the player is, they will always get hit with the trap, opposed to placing a trap on the side and having a 50% chance of hitting them. Here's an example of Cypher PK doing it. Now, the other situation where you are going to place a trap on the floor is when the enemy ramps over you. You just jump up, cone them, put them in a box, and place a floor under you. Place the trap on the floor, break out the ramp, and build your own ramp. To pull that one off is a bit harder and you have to be quick with it. But come on guys, it's chapter 2. Mostly probably everybody know how to do this, but I'm just gonna go over it so you don't forget how to do it. Keep your mind refreshed. Also for the people who don't know how to do it. There is also a more advanced way of doing this, and it's something I also learned from Cypher. Normally when a fight starts, you both ramping up and try to get high ground. But instead of trying to ramp over the enemy, place a floor and cone and quickly edit 2 squares of the floor and then 2 squares of the cone. Most of the time, the natural instinct for high ground will come and the enemy will continue following your edited cone. Once he's on it, jump up, cone them, box them in, re-edit your floor and place a trap. Once you place the trap, re-edit your cone and edit the other 2 squares, and bam, they get hit with the trap. Looking back, I actually think it's better to place a floor before you jump up to cone them, because when they ramp over you, they might floor you. So place a floor and just edit 2 squares of it when you're going to go cone them. So those are some of the tips I have to outsmart your opponent. Yeah, probably most of you guys know about these since they're fairly old, but also most of us forget to apply these things, so let it be a fresh reminder. Or if you're a newer player, then you'll learn something in this video. Going into the competitive side of Fortnite, I can't stress enough how much the small little things that you do can really determine the outcome of the fight. So later on, I'll be making more in-depth videos about outplaying your opponent, taking less damage, positioning, and stuff like that. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.